everybody. Welcome to another Watchful Eye studio video. This one is going to be interesting. It's going to be a series of videos, and ironically, the background that I chose is a little fitting with the subject matter, but we're going to be getting into a magazine subscription series on collecting, assembling, painting, playing with Warhammer 40,000 miniatures through a third party called Hatchet Partworks. And they are offering this magazine subscription that comes with basically all the things that you need in order to collect miniatures, put them together, paint them, and even play some games, introducing you in very small bites to the Warhammer 40,000 universe for a lot of people out there that may not even know it exists. So it's in a very interesting format, and Hatchet Partworks has been doing this with several Games Workshop products now. I believe they started with Lord of the Rings back in the day when the movies were coming out and Games Workshop acquired the license. They thought this would be a good way to take advantage of the hype of the movies and the miniatures, and it really did work. I was working for Games Workshop at the time when this happened, and the sales in Lord of the Rings in the European market were just through the roof. Not as well as Games Workshop's probably doing today, but it did very, very well back in the day. And again, it had some issues with that. And I'm hoping that the market and the industry has matured more, because one of the things that had happened both internally with Games Workshop and externally with the Lord of the Rings license and doing this Partworks system was the bubble burst when the movies were done and the Hatchet Partworks was over. So you had all these kind of fanboys, fangirls, whatever you want to call them, that got into it. And then once, the movies were done, their Partworks subscription was over, they stopped. And sales for Games Workshop in total dipped quite a bit after that. And on the internal aspect, it was really kind of promoted that Lord of the Rings was not introducing people to Warhammer at the time, but more of a introductory product to the miniature wargaming market. So, so you had, your veteran players that would get into 40K and Warhammer, and people that were kind of noobs, a little wet behind the ears, getting into the miniature wargaming world, did Lord of the Rings because they could identify with it through the movies. So I think because Age of Sigmar now and Warhammer 40,000 is so established, they can do these Partworks without really risk of a bubble bursting. And you're also finding that a lot of experienced players out there are collecting this subscription because it's a very cheap way, relative to the cost of collecting these armies. So a lot of people are just picking up the magazines and kind of selecting which ones they want to get based on whatever happens to be in that particular magazine. Now, what I'm doing is the full-blown subscription. I end up buying the premium collection. So the cool thing about this whole collection is I'll be getting Tau, Chaos Space Marines, Orcs, Tyranids, little starter forces for them. And I don't think it'd be a full-blown army, but it'll be like a start collecting set, with squad or two and some characters. And it's not huge, but it'll be fun to mess around with those. But then also you'll be getting, or I'll be getting, Sisters of Battle, Adeptus Mechanicus, Space Marines, and Necrons. So So that's actually what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different looks at the armies that Games Workshop has to offer for the Warhammer 40K universe. So you're not just dipping your toes in the water on the premium collection. You're going for a swim. And it was only like $3 more a month, or an issue or something like that for the premium. So what the heck? I mean, it's toy soldiers at the end of the day. If I don't want them, I can trade them, sell them, whatever. But for now, I'm going to try to get everything done and paint it up. So with the introduction of this video, I ended up receiving my first series. I ended up paying for the subscription about 2 weeks ago. It took about a week for them to ship. There is a U.S. subsidiary that is handling all the North American subscriptions, and they are shipping out of Florida, I believe. And I think it's called Agora Collections or something like that. So I got my first pack. Now I ended up getting issues 2 and 3, which again, I'll be talking about through the breakdown of this video, because I ended up originally signing up for the trial run back in 2021, and I got issues 1 and 2 already. So I thought, well, I already had issue particularly 1. I don't need the 2 characters that come in that set again, but buying issue 2 would be cool because it gives you 3 more Necron Warriors. So I started with issue 2, and because of this, I already had a slight head start on the characters that come in issue 1. And I actually, when I signed up for the subscription, that's when I actually broke out the magazines and decided to start putting them together and painting them. So really, I just started this whole series about 2 weeks ago. So I started when I ordered it, I had about a week to start messing around with the 2 characters that come in issue 1. So there you go. There you have it. So now what I want to do is walk you through the magazines. So I'll switch the camera around, show the magazines, and then we'll have a little wrap up at the end. So I hope you enjoy. Stay tuned.
All right, everybody, here's the kind of glance of the different issues, and I just wanted to kind of give you a little backstory, which you'll see why here momentarily. Is I ended up signing up for the trial run, which was in late 2021, and they ended up sending out issues 1 and 2 to customers in the United States, and then they kind of pulled the plug and said, great, thanks for buying the first 2 issues. We're going to actually wait until 2022 to launch the subscription. So I've actually been sitting on these magazines for a little while, waiting to see when the subscription was going to launch before I kind of did anything with the miniatures. And so when I signed up on this second go around, I started with issue number 2, which basically bypassed the miniatures and the stuff that comes in issue number 1, which we'll look at here in a second, to pick up with issue number 2, which was or is the Necron Warriors. So basically, I just got 3 additional Necron Warriors to add to my collection, and then we'll go from there. So I just wanted to kind of go over issue number 1, 2, and 3, which would normally be your first package if you subscribed from the word go. So in this issue, you get 2 characters. You get the Primaris Lieutenant and the Royal Warden, as well as you kind of get all the starter product that you would need to start playing your different games. So there's a little pack of dice that comes in with it, a range ruler, there's a play mat. So there's all those kind of accessories that you're going to utilize as you go on this journey of collecting and putting together and painting and playing your game, and kind of learning the 40K game system for all intents and purposes. So let's just kind of quickly go through the magazine. You can see the front cover. And then, painting your Primaris Lieutenant. And again, they're really heavily promoting Ultramarines, obviously. Painting the Royal Warden. Your battle records, so keep track of your games. And then there's, of course, some background about Space Marines and Necrons. How to put together your miniatures. And getting into the painting aspect of it. Of course, this shows you here now the game is, hey, you get 6 dice right there. And then it has some token sets, your game mat, your range ruler, all these things that you would see down here in this picture. And then it starts getting into the actual gameplay part of it, explaining how the rules work, the stats for your characters. It's pretty comprehensive, and it's nice because you're only playing with 2 miniatures. So, and then, of course, you have your advertising, your marketing for that, and issues 2 and 3, which come in the first set. And then another advertisement showing the full gambit of everything that you're going to collect. And then you get some freebies, which will be coming in the next series of issues: glue clippers, a little hobby scraper, a paintbrush set, binders, and a glue post, a painting handle, as they call it. I also signed up for the premium subscription, so I'll be getting at some point a starting force of Tau, Orcs, Tyranids, and Chaos Space Marines. So I'm hoping to kind of get all that painted up and rocking and rolling. This is kind of cool. There's a really nice fold out showing, how cool your collection could be. And on the other side, you have some background history, stuff like that. So pretty cool. And then here's your play mat. And there's essentially 2 sides, and you're going to have to cut out the additional tokens and markers. It is a card stock, so it's a little bit thicker. And again, here's the other play mat. And I really like the aspect of having the starting locations, A, B, C, D, E. It really kind of allows you to baby step your way into this wargaming world. So for people that have never played a miniature war game, this is really pretty quite awesome. Now, one of the things I'm going to try to do in the videos moving forward is I'm going to introduce tabletop miniature wargaming to my wife, who is from Vietnam and has never seen or heard of toy soldiers or anything of that sort until, well, really she met me. So she's not familiar at all. So I think it would be a kind of a fun little litmus test of how effective this magazine would be. Now, I'm not expecting her to put together or paint or any of that. That's my hobby. I enjoy it. I'm not asking her to get involved in that aspect. But I think for the purposes of this video and sharing the journey, I think it will be fun to introduce her to the game and see how well she picks it up based on terminology. Her English is quite good, so I don't think it's going to be an issue as far as a language barrier, but just understanding the mechanics of the game could be interesting. We've played a couple board games before, so I think she'd pick it up pretty quickly, and we'll introduce you to her once we kind of get playing. So there's the mat. And one of the other things that I thought was really cool, and I don't think this is going to be able to show in the video very well, but there's a really cool poster that you get. That if you're nerdy, have a game room or whatever, or heck, even a 10-year-old kid, you throw this up on your wall. That'd be pretty neat. So I may actually even frame this because I'm actually building out a gaming studio. So I may frame that and put that up, even though it has the creases in it. But that is issue 1. In the miniatures, of course, here's the range ruler. Just kind of show you that. Pretty cool. 12-inch range ruler. It's nice. It's plastic, pretty flimsy, so I think that'll be cool to play with. And let me show you the miniatures. I've already started painting these. So here is my Royal Warden, and I'm trying to stay as close to the book as I can, with a few exceptions, and I'm trying out the contrast paints to see how they're going to play out with this, and see if I can actually get this stuff done rather quickly. So the actual metalwork you see on here is literally just a base coat of a silver, and then hit with a I think it's the Black Templar contrast paint, and then kind of dry brushed back up just to give it some highlights, and then added some gold and kind of gave that a wash, and then used some of the greens, and I think there's a cool color. Forgot the color that I was using, but it gives it that nice glowy effect, and I might try to do some object source lighting or something like that down the line. But for now, he's almost done. And then we have the Primaris Lieutenant, and again, this guy I primed black and hit him with it might have been the Ultramarines blue, and then dry brushed him with a almost white color, and I forgot the color, and I'll go over these paint guides down the line. But I dry brushed him up with a almost white, and then again hit him with the contrast blue paint, and it kind of did a lot of the line highlighting and stuff for me. So and that's really almost as far as I've gotten with him. I started doing in some of the blacks. I think I'm going to do black leather instead of brown, just because I want to try to work on my ability to highlight black a little bit more. But that's it. That's as far as I've gotten with him. So I'm hoping to have these guys painted relatively soon. Okay, so getting into issue number 2. So here's issue 2, and this was the Necron Warrior issue. And again, it's pretty similar layout, showing you how cool the painted stuff is. You have your battle records for adding in your new things for the games. You have your background and history for the Dynasty as well as the Ultramarines. Some sexy pictures showing off the collection. And, obviously, same routine, putting the stuff together, painting, brush care, opening, shaking your pots, that kind of thing. How to paint your Necron Warriors. Even shows you the Royal Warden in here again, which is kind of cool. And then now you get into your gameplay. And I don't know if you've noticed, but each section is color-coded. So it even makes it that much more receptive to players, knowing that the yellow sections, the painting section or hobby section, the greens, your gameplay, and as you can see here, it utilizes your mat, shows you where to set up your forces. In this case, the Necron Warriors are fighting the Primaris Lieutenant, and then you have some more instructions, rules, adding on, and of course your ubiquitous advertisements. And a nice thing is, issue number 4, you're going to have 3 Skopek destroyers and little worker robot Busy Bee. So pretty cool. That's issue number 2. And the nice thing with issue number 2 is you get, here's your Necron Warriors. Very simple sprue. Everything is numbered, so you can figure out your assembly very quickly. And I believe these are the Necron Warriors that come in the paint set. So pretty easy to put together. The bodies are pretty similar. The nice thing about these Necron Warriors too is there's some damage and stuff on them, so you can have some fun with painting. So there's the sprue, and then of course you get your Rune Lord Brass paint, and a starter paintbrush. So pretty cool. And then, of course, your 3 bases for the guys. So then issue 3, very similar to the Necron Warriors. You have, this time, your Assault Intercessors. So these are your Primaris Marines. And again, lays it all out, right? So you got your color-coded sections showing you how cool they look painted, battle records. It's all looking familiar. More history, background, how to build. And again, you'll notice, and I'll show them on the sprue, everything's numbered, so it's very easy to put stuff together. Now, these are push fit, so they could get a little tricky, so just make sure, I wouldn't say 100% dry fit them. You can dry fit them without glue, and then they'll pretty much stay together. But if you use glue, I would just make sure that your pegs and your holes, are lining up appropriately and they go together decently. Because the last thing you want to do is get a bunch of glue on these guys, try to push them together, and they're not pushing quite well enough, and you got to start forcing it or pull it back apart, and you get glue everywhere. So just be mindful of how tight these fittings can be. So there's assemblies using your blue paint that comes in this set and laying everything out. And you notice they don't use any primer. They really are trying to promote the idea of what you get in this set is plenty good enough to work with. And, they're, for the most part, doing things in piecemeal, right? So they're doing all the armor, and they're kind of leaving everything else, and they're saying, cool, well, now you're playing with your guys' blue, and don't forget, down the line, you're going to get more paint, so you can finish up your models as you go. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to get mine 100% painted before the next collection shows up. But I think this is a really cool way of, saying, hey, you got your blue paint, base your guys blue, or in the case of the Necrons, base them that metal. And then, be patient enough to know that when the next round of paints show up, you can add that color. Now, the only downside to how that is set up is you don't get glue, clippers, your scraper. You don't get any of the tools up front. So that's the little tricky part, if you're going to get into this, to realize is that you might have to already have a little bit of awareness in the miniature tabletop world to know that you're going to need some tools and glue and that kind of thing. And, of course, they mention it, but it'd be nice if your hobby set showed up with issue 1, so it really is walking you through the hobby. But, hey, to each their own. So here are the scenarios. Playing, adding in all your new forces. Necron Warriors versus the Intercessor Marines. And then, of course, your marketing. And then issues 4 and 5, we already talked about the Scorpec destroyers. And then there's going to be a Primaris captain coming in issue 5. And I believe this is the limited captain, which only comes in this Imperium. So that'll be pretty exciting. So let's go ahead and show you the sprue. So there's the sprue. 3 Marines. The Intercessor bolt pistol type weapon. I don't know the official name, sorry. But the thing I do like about these is it does have the Ultramarines symbol and the Assault symbol on their shoulder pads, which is really cool. Of course, if you wanted to do these as, Blood Angels or another Space Marine chapter, could be a little bit more challenging. But then again, you're not getting the paint to necessarily do a different chapter as well. So, but there's going to be a lot of people out there that will collect this because it's a cheap way to build a collection, particularly with another price rise coming in March. This is a, you know, kind of a fixed price to be able to collect a bunch of stuff, which is pretty cool. So there's the Marines, and you get your Macragge Blue, and of course your 3 bases. So where do we go from here? Well, we are going to start assembling and priming and painting all of these miniatures, and from there I'm going to try to do the actual gameplay scenarios and try to get some of that experience on film against my wife and see how that goes. And hopefully it won't be too much longer than we get the second round of magazines, and we continue this trend throughout this collection. Pretty excited to walk on this journey with you guys, and I hope you are too.
So overall, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I think the subscription is about 20 months, and you're going to get a whole bunch of stuff. You, me, whatever, whoever subscribed is going to get a bunch of stuff. And it's Space Marines, Adeptus Mechanicus, Sisters of Battle, a lot of Necrons, scenery, hobby accessories, tools, binders, the magazines, paints, and plus, not to mention, because I signed up for the premium, I'll get these little starter forces for Chaos Space Marines, Tau, Orcs, and Tyranids. Kind of excited about the Chaos Space Marines and the Tau. Not so much about the Orcs and Tyranids, but that's okay. It'd be fun to paint, do something different. I've collected Tau in the past. I've collected Chaos in the past, so they'll be kind of fun to work with. So overall, yeah, I'm really excited about going on this journey, recording the journey, and for Americans, we have had things like this in the past. It's not necessarily something that, as an American, we've kind of glommed onto. There's been times where I've traveled internationally. I was over in Germany one year for the World Cup, and they had collectible sticker books for all the World Cup teams and the players and teams, and it was collectible, right? So there were rare stickers that you had to try to trade with, and while I was there for about 3 weeks, I bought an awful lot of those and tried to fill up my sticker book before I left. And I think I might even still have it. And that was back in I think it was might have been the 90 World Cup. So anyways, and collectibles is big in Japan, and it's, they had that collector series that Games Workshop did with, they had the Blood Angel Terminator collector series, and then they had the Plague Marine collector series, and then also the Space Marine one. And those have kind of made their way over here to the US, and they've been kind of fun to pick up. So I'll be interested to see how this does overall internationally, because this is the first time that it's been offered in the US, and it's been around. So yeah, I think this is going to be really cool, and it'll be an interesting way to collect these forces. And what will be even more interesting is to maybe try to take like the Necrons, or I don't know if there'll be enough. I'm assuming there probably will be, considering you'll get the Ultramarines Primarch Reboot or Rebute Guilliman, however you want to pronounce him. So he's probably a massive amount of in-game points. So it'll be interesting to see if you can bring maybe this collection to like a tournament or something, and just see how it does without buying anything else. So we'll see. Well, I hope you like this. Please, hit the subscribe button if you want to continue to follow this series, and like it, throw down a comment. Maybe there's something you want to see, or a process and how you want to see it. Happy to read those comments and try to accommodate, because at the end of the day, I'm doing the hobby, but I want you to enjoy it as a viewer. So Don't be afraid to make some comments. So we'll see you in the next one. Issues 1, 2, and 3, starting this off. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care.